Hey guys, it's Chris. Welcome to my channel. Glad to have you. It's been a bit since I've seen you guys. I was on a birthday trip. I went to Ireland and Scotland with Benji. I had a really great time, and I even filmed a little bookstore vlog that I'm editing right now. But while I'm editing that, I thought I would do something kind of lighthearted and fun while I am getting into the groove of being back and getting settled again. And so I found this A to Z book tag online, and I thought it looked really fun, and I think it would be a great way for you guys to get to know my reading side a little bit more. So I think I want to do that for this video. Basically, it's every letter of the alphabet is assigned a question relating to your bookish habits and reading. So I'm gonna get started. Let's do it. So starting off with A, it is author you've read the most books from. This is actually going to be highly inflated by young middle school / early high school Chris, where I was reading nearly every book that Rick Riordan, I think that's how you pronounce his name, every book that he published I was obsessed with. I think there's some correlation between like young queer kids and mythology. Like there has to be a study going on why queer kids love mythology. So yeah, the amount of Rick Riordan books that I read at that age was immense. And so this answer is definitely based on that. I think I've read most of the books that he had out in that time. I haven't read a lot of his since, but yeah, definitely those books. Next is B, best sequel ever. You already know I'm gonna have to go with Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is the second book from the Emily Wilde series. And I don't know what about those books I love so much. Like, I think it's just the way they make me feel and the emotion that is evoked. It feels like it was written like for me, just right up my alley, and I really loved them. So I'm gonna have to go with that one. I know I talk about it all the time, but I can't help it. If you don't like those books, that's okay. But like something about them, it's just like, oh, I just love them so much. So I feel like other people on this tag are choosing like very intellectual choices, but my reading is like so for pleasure and so much like not in that realm necessarily. So yeah. C, currently reading. I am currently reading Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. I asked you guys on that poll on my YouTube community tab, and Days at the Murasaki Bookshop won, so I'm reading that right now, and I'll let you know what I think when I finish it. D is drink of choice while reading. And that is either just water during the day or it is coffee. I love coffee. I feel like I'm not alone in that. So if it's morning to afternoon, it's probably coffee, but it's also probably water, sometimes both at once. E is e-reader or physical books. Every time I get this question, it's so hard because I got a Kindle recently, and I'm obsessed with my Kindle. I love it so much, but I also love physical books. Like, oh, this question is so evil, and I can't choose. Like, you can't make me choose. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, F is fictional character you would have dated in high school. I almost don't even want to answer this because I don't want you guys to come for me, but I would have dated Edward Cullen in high school. Just like an extremely old vampire. Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen. I would have dated you in high school. Even if you're extremely old, I wouldn't have cared. That is so bad. I'm so sorry. G is glad you gave this book a chance. And I'm gonna have to give this to Never Let Me Go. Benji read it first and he loved it so much. And so I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's great. But then eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I'll read it. And I'm really glad that I did. Like, I would recommend that book to anyone. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So yeah, definitely Never Let Me Go. H is hidden gem book. Okay, so this might not be hidden in general, but okay, this could actually be completely wrong. But everyone talks about the Jurassic Park movies, but the Jurassic Park book is actually so incredible. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I love dinosaurs and never grew out of the 4-year-old dinosaur phase, but I love Jurassic Park as a book, and I don't see many people talking about it as much as the franchise, you know, kind of like how people talk about the Hunger Games books all the time. But maybe I'm not in the right spaces to see people talking about Jurassic Park, because there probably is conversation, but I feel like I don't see it that much. So I'm gonna have to go with Jurassic Park, even though it's not necessarily hidden, but I really think that the book should be talked about more. Where are my Jurassic Park stands? I is important moment in your reading life. And this is going to be in 4th grade. We had this thing at our school called Battle of the Books, and there were like 24 books. I don't know if that's the exact number, but there were like a set list of books. And every time you read a few and you hit a milestone, like when you read 3 of them, you would get like this pin that you would wear around school. And then if you read like 2 more, you get like a star on your pin. And then if you read like 2 more, you get another star. So it was this reading competition with the whole school to read the set amount of books. And it was kind of like, oh, I've read this many. Oh, I've read this many. And then at the end, there was a Battle of the Book competition where you would have like a buzzer and you would buzz in answers to the books and stuff. And I got the highest score in my class on the test. So I joined the Battle Book team and I was the captain of the Battle Book team. And then we went to the district to do a district competition where we then lost. But outside of that, I just loved the Battle of the Books, and it was a way for me to really use my love for reading in like a competitive way that I really enjoyed. So I think that was a huge moment for me, and I felt super accomplished reading all of the books. I still remember some of the books on it too, and I wonder what would happen if I read a few of them again and what that would be like. Jay is just finished reading. I just finished reading Lie With Me, and I still am processing it. It was a lot for me. I read it on the flight back from Ireland, and I'm still emotionally recovering, so I will get back to you on that. K is kinds of books you won't read. I will not read a pure mystery book. I don't like them in general. I don't really like that genre that much, so I'm okay. I'm good on mystery. I'm okay. L is longest book you've read. Longest book I've read? I have to like look and see. Longest book I've read? I honestly don't know. You know, I might have to get back to you on longest book I've read. I honestly have no idea. You know, I looked over these very briefly before I did this, but I didn't really think about this one. Okay, we're gonna pass longest book you've ever read. I'm not sure. M, major book hangover because of ... Okay, so this person's answer has it like a bad book that they read that gave them a hangover, but normally I see it as a book hangover is like a book so good that you have a hangover. So I think I'll just do like a book that was so good. This might be cliche, but I love Song of Achilles. I know a lot of people like it, but I know a lot of people also like think it's overrated, and that's totally understandable, but that book really got me good. So I'm gonna say the Song of Achilles. I was feeling it for a little bit afterwards. Yeah. N, number of bookcases you own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why that took me so long to count. I have 5 bookcases. O, one book you've read multiple times. Okay, there's a few, but I'll say Animal Farm. I've read Animal Farm a few times. P, preferred place to read. I mentioned this in my Q&A, but I love to read in bed after I've showered and brushed my teeth and washed my face, and I'm just laying down and I can fall asleep whenever, and then I have my book so that when I read and I inevitably get sleepy, I can just like fall asleep. It's the best feeling. Q is quote that inspires you / gives you the feels. So I'm gonna go with the gives you the feels part, and I'm gonna go with the fig tree quote by Sylvia Plath from The Bell Jar. That quote just really explains a lot of very deep feelings that I had at one point. I'll read it to you. It says, I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children, and another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor, and another fig was E.G., the amazing editor, and another fig was Europe and Africa and South America, and another fig was Constantine and Socrates and Attila, and a pack of other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions, and another fig was an Olympic lady crew champion, and beyond and above these figs were many more figs I couldn't quite make out. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of these figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest, and as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one they plopped to the ground at my feet. That quote gives me a lot of feels, and I'm sure you likely feel the same. R is reading regret. I regret ever trying to read A Little Life. S is series you started but need to finish. I started the Murderbot Diaries and I really loved the first one, and I need to finish the rest of the series, and I definitely will at some point. I'm just not reading it right now. I'm not sure why. U is Unapologetic Fangirl 4, and to be honest, oh my god, this is so embarrassing, but I'm gonna have to say The Hunger Games because, okay, listen. When The Hunger Games came out and I read it when I was like 12, and then the movie came out, like that was such a cultural moment for the young adolescents of that time. I had like a movie poster in my room, and I went to the midnight showing of the first movie. Like I was in deep. I was following Hunger Games meme pages on Facebook. Like it was serious. It was a full-time job being a Hunger Games fan. And so the nostalgia that comes with that series is just, it stays with me. So I'm gonna have to say The Hunger Games, and you can't judge me for it because you understand. V is very excited for this release more than any others, and this is definitely going to be Heather Fawcett's book that was announced that's coming out. I'm not sure when, but it's called Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter. And let me see if there's a description. There's no description on the one I'm at, but I saw it's about a woman who runs a mystical cat shelter, and then there's also like a dark magician character, and then there's kind of like a, not romantic relationship, I don't think, but some relationship between Agnes, the cat shop owner, and then the dark evil magician. I don't quite know what's going on, but she had me at cat, so I'm very, very excited for that one. W is Worst Habit. I'm going to say worst habit is probably reading a little bit too late. Probably staying up a little bit too late reading, just because I do tend to read before bed, and so sometimes it gets a little early in the morning. X is X Marks the Spot, the 27th book on your shelf. 27th book on my shelf. Okay, let me find that. So the 27th book on my shelf was this book I got when I visited Portland, Oregon, called Where Bigfoot Walks. It says updated edition with the latest research and finds regarding Bigfoot. So I haven't actually read this yet, but this is on the shelf, and I will read this eventually because I need to know the Bigfoot findings, you know, like what's going on with that. Y is your latest book purchase, which is, where did I put that? My bookshelf might look fairly organized, but it's actually not organized at all. That needs to be a project that I do soon. I'll just put a picture. It's somewhere on here. I don't want to have to find it right now, but it's called The Owl, a Biography, and it's a nonfiction book on owls that I got while I was in Dublin. Z is ZZZZ Snatcher, last book that kept you up way too late. And I think that was also just the last book that I read, which was Lie With Me, because I read it on the plane when I should have been sleeping on the plane because it was red eye. So yeah, it was Lie With Me. Yep, definitely a book that kept me up late. Okay, that's the end of the tag. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I think next week I'll have the bookstore vlog out. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Hope you're doing well, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.